Hello and welcome to Jarviskjir Rock of the North, Chapter 2, Session 2. There we go. Balance in all things for a moment before it fleets away. How is everyone? Good, thanks. Great talk, everyone.
Excellent.
So,
Woo! Mighty powerful.
So, yes, the intro is scuffed right now on the new computer because the new computer is different. All of these things have, of course, been noted and are continuously being tweaked. If you notice anything is different, especially in the last episode, that is true. Congratulations. Life goes on. Yet we move forward on towards oblivion. And until then, we're going to play D&D. So, last time we started off with meeting Adelhard and getting a new mission, which is decidedly vague. Your first kind of plan is to explore the wood elven city of Aradia, and you actually even found a good, safe landing zone that may help you in even researching the current plot and what you're interested in exploring. So, that's pretty great. And that's all you guys. That's all, things your characters put together, because you sure didn't get that from the quest log.
That's true.
So, you haven't actually left yet. You were kind of planning on leaving and landing in the Moonbrook, which is kind of a semi-religious lake site that is meant to be protected by a family, but the only link you really have to that is that Sabriel has a letter saying that they quit because there was a death in the family, and other than that, you think it should be a fairly safe place to land. Then it's investigation time. You want to find out more about something that has been called the Fae Forge. It's a location. It's not in any maps, and it's not in the Fae realm, supposedly. Sabriel, with fleeting knowledge of the Fae, has asked a question to Balord with slightly less fleeting knowledge of the Fae, who probably won't give you any answer at all. So, with that point, I would say it's probably the next day. It is, You've been able to rest here in the Rock of the North. Your tower, your flying tower. You all have bedrooms. Actually, don't think you were here for that, Zach. You have a little space in the tower, each. A little more than a fairly comfortable. It's a comfortable elven bed, and like a chest of drawers and any other things. But you can all stay in the tower before you leave High Thundral to start the investigation in Aradia. What kind of things do you guys want to do before you leave? You did quite a lot of planning last time, but you have had a week to think about it, so any other sort of planning you want to do would be great. Any other conversations you want to do in character, let me know.
Vincent will have spent that morning before we leave, just his morning preparations, cleaning his armor, cleaning his weapons, especially making them a little bit more presentable, as we're hopefully going to be talking to some of the wood elven folk. So he'll spend a little extra time preparing himself for that. Maybe, special bath or something, just to get all the dust and the grime and all that stuff off.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you definitely have special bath lotions and things in High Thundral. If you ever ask Sabriel, like, oh, what kind of things can I put in a bath, there will be a lot of options.
Sabriel opens his trench coat like some dude standing on the corner, and it's just full of vials of just like...
Hey, Matt, want to buy a sundial?
yeah, it's exactly that. That's what I was thinking, too.
Well, Sabriel doesn't have anything. I mean, he'll check in with Balord in the morning to see if he got any answer back from the question, and then he'll go to the tower.
Yeah.
Make sure his horse is there and not chasing a bird.
You do have Zelius II, your Pegasus, just so people know it's not just a horse, it can fly ridiculously fast. Yes. Not that you really have, like, he can stay on the balcony or the stoop as you fly away, and supposedly. You don't really have a good space for a Pegasus, but...
He can sleep in Sabrael's room.
I don't think Snow would be doing anything in particular. He's probably just, hanging out with Peep or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's totally fine to not have anything you want to do and want to fly away now, fly away.
Yeah, the main thing is, like, I might go shopping, but I have no money.
And there's no real shops here.
Yeah.
You're probably better waiting until Aradia anyway for that. So you get different things, because you've already done shopping in Hythendrel before.
That's
and
true.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's all.
Adelhard, anything? I mean, this is your first night sleeping with your co-workers. Not really the wording I probably should have used. But, in a room, in the tower, in a flying city, about to leave. Anything on Adelhard's mind? Anything Adelhard wants to kind of do or discuss with the party before you go?
Adelhard would just spend the morning and part of the night just writing down his observations of the day.
Excellent.
In the morning, Adelhard notices Sabrael sitting outside on the balcony talking to seemingly nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Just get used to that. Is my advice.
It's okay, Adelhard probably fell asleep on the desk anyway, which is also pretty weird.
As long as he's not staring at the painting of Sabrael's wife.
Well, that's not in this house, at least. You wouldn't take that with you. For exactly this reason.
Who would do that? No one would do such a weird
Cal
thing.
probably was like, no, you can't take the Fen painting. You can take one of us, but not the Fen painting.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, well, you make sure
hasn't been caught doing that since he got caught.
Since he got caught by Cal, and Cal was like, hey, if you keep doing that, I will kill you. Because Cal is ready to be a father.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can make sure that the Rock of the North, your tower, is stocked up on supplies from Hythendrol. You would have, don't worry, you've got wine. Wine for drinking, wine for cooking, some preserved game meat, some essentially sort of lambus bread type things, and you actually would have, which is kind of note to keep, essentially good berries. Hythendrel wine is made out of what are essentially good berries. These grapes so imbued with sunlight and prayer that they have the power that the spell Goodberry has. So you would actually have like a semi-preserved jar of good berries in your tower as well. Just so you know.
So wait, explain it to me again. I eat this one berry, and I don't need to eat for the rest of the day?
In theory, yes, though I've seen Balord get down an entire jar and still be hungry the next 2 hours.
One.
That fits.
Not like a handful. One berry. No more food.
You don't get out much, do you?
I grew fields and fields of food to feed people for days, and you're telling me all I had to do was grow these things? Although
you can't,
they probably wouldn't grow where I am. But anyway.
I think you could grow those. The timer starts now. Cyril's got a sundial out like
So Vincent is nice and polished up. His hair's kind of up in sort of a sort of half knot and tied up behind his head. and is now apparently full for the rest of the day. So he's ready to march.
Yeah.
He'll think real deep and as we're exiting the tower and pull Pearl into existence.
Oh, you gotta fly there first. You might want to wait.
Oh, sorry, we're flying. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Pearl
One
just
step
drops
there
off
before
the
we
edge.
fly. That would be dumb.
I was thinking.
Yeah, you could just might as well wait.
Yeah.
Be like Witcher 3, and then they're on the roof.
Both horses.
It's glitched into Zelius, like.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah. These things happen.
I did the bingo card of bringing up Witcher 3.
Where is that bingo card?
Oh, it's in the. It should be.
It is. It's pinned somewhere. You can fly. You can leave. The way the Rock of the North works is that none of you pilot this. There are no piloting checks involved. You have an onboard AI, Goldie, who, yes, does still think Vincent is a criminal, but that's fine.
Wait, why does it think Vincent is a criminal?
You know.
To appease my money-lusting deity, I will give it 20 gold.
Nice.
I don't know where to put this now.
Put it in my hand.
Talking house.
Oh, Goldie's shell is in the basement, basically plugged into the building, with not wires, these kind of scrolls of paper that kind of thread through the building. So, yeah, he could safe keep your money until it goes to the proper authorities.
I'll give it 20 gold.
I
have marked it off my sheet. So now I owe it, 780 gold?
780 gold, yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure it was 800 gold was the total.
Yeah. The Rock of the North, all you need to do is basically give Goldie, show where on a map they need to fly the tower to, and the tower will start flying. So when that happens, the tower will unmoor from the edge of High Thundra beside Sabriel's home, and all the birds and the trees and the plants and the flowers in the balcony and whatnot. And there would probably be Calavale and Alina at the balcony who give a little sort of wave off, because this might be a longer... Well, the last mission Sabriel went on turned out to be quite long after all. So they're probably, expecting this to be a bit of a longer journey, although you can head back and forth a lot easier. And the tower will kind of snap away from its place. The bottom steps will kind of fold up into the front porch, because this tower has a bit of a front porch, and it will twist and start flying south. First quite high through the clouds, at a faster pace than it did flying yesterday, up and down through the city, but not as fast as Balord flew the tower last chapter. This is an appropriate cruise control speed, nothing outrageous, but still a strange sensation for those who have not felt it. Or Alhard, you felt it going up and down, but it's a very similar sensation to kind of, being on a ship that's traveling quickly, but there's no bob. There's no bob of the waves. If you probably do understand that there would be turbulence on a flying entity, but it doesn't. The magic counteracts or something. You fly through clouds without issue. There's even the pitter-patter of rain sometimes when you fly through a cloud. It kind of hits the windows and things. But there's no turbulence. It's like completely still in here. Almost.
Can Zelius get hit in the face by like a bird or a goose that's flying by?
Do you want that to happen? Sure. Okay. Anything any of you want to do while you're traveling? It won't take long. This will be roughly it won't even be a day of travel. You can do the route between Thundral and Aradia to enter the city, because Aradia is very big, very sparse. in less than a day of you know, sort of regular travel along the King's Road, but you're flying, so it would be quite quick.
Vincent will, at one point during the trip, make himself and another cup of tea, if that's available to us.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I didn't mention it, but yeah, you absolutely have tea and tea making equipment in the tower. The tower is basically fully set up in how Sabriel would want to live on the road, plus maybe a couple of things that Sabriel remembered that like humans and mortals need.
Like beds.
Like beds. You have beds. Congratulations. You very nearly wouldn't.
He will take the 2 cups of tea and find Adelhard and approach.
You probably find Adelhard sitting somewhere, looking at his recent notes in his notebook, probably also looking out the window, kind of curiously at how this tower functions.
Do you drink tea?
Yes, of course.
Would you like some? And he'll extend 1 cup to you.
He gives a nod and takes it.
Sir Vincent, I don't know if we did that already or not. My mind wanders at my age.
How old does he look? How old does Vincent look?
Vincent is what, like 60, but a pretty good 60, right?
Yeah, he's clearly sun-beaten skin, weather-beaten skin, long grayish hair, a graying beard that's kind of like 5 o'clock shadow, basically. Maybe a little bit more today. Light blue eyes, but he looks very clearly like he's late 50s, early 60s, but he is very well kept at that age.
Okay.
He's seen a lot of manual labor, and it shows in his musculature.
Okay. Adelhard gives a nod. Yes, you have introduced yourselves when we first met.
So, tell me a bit about yourself.
He takes a sip from tea. What do you want to know? It's an awkward sip because of his mouth being a little bit scarred. But yes, he is asking what you want to know.
Just what brought you to us?
Orders?
Understandable. Any notable victories?
I have not thought about that for the character.
You know what you should bring up? Actually, I was gonna say that Adelhard is lucky, but he's also kind of unlucky. But that's definitely
he is unlucky in some circumstances. Yes.
I don't know. I almost feel like that would be the response. Well, great luck. Because yeah, we've only really discussed like when times went wrong. To be fair though, Adelhard's career is as you know, as a merchant sailor of Velheim, it's not very exciting.
Probably had a few pirates.
Yeah, it's like, well, I did a successful trip to Tron. Again, sailed back. Sure did unload some cargo. Like, you're so efficient, nothing goes wrong.
He just shrugs. The odd pirate, but that's about it.
Was the scar at the hands of a loss? And he looks genuinely concerned and not like he's not prodding, but just curious and concerned.
Okay. When you asked it, he holds up a hand. It's like, long story we do not have the time for. We have a mission to complete.
Understandable. Well, how do you operate on the battlefield? It should be noted that we have sort of built up a synergy, and we should work your skills into that set to make us more plausible.
I'm sure I will find my way in quite well. I am versatile. It should work out.
Jack of all trades.
He sort of shakes his head. Not really, but...
Well, you have my curiosity. And we are fortunate to have you. And
He does not say anything else to that.
He'll finish the last of his tea and stand up and look to see if you're done with yours.
Yeah, he will be done as well.
And he'll take your mug and go take care of those dishes.
Someone has to. All right. Anything else any of you want to do, or anyone kind of want to look out the side as the world flies past?
Yeah, Adderhot would look out the window, definitely.
Awesome. As the tower is flying kind of slowly. You know, it is in a descent because you started really high, and eventually you're no longer really going through clouds, and you can see the sea. Both Areadia and Thundra are close enough to the sea, and especially from this height, you can see it. And you can see, leaving the Thundra kind of area, just miles and miles of vineyards. Many vineyards over kind of subtly rolling hills, flanked by forests. And then, as the hours grow on, it becomes just forest, essentially. You understand why on your map this area is often labeled as the Great Emerald Expanse, because as you look south, you just see trees. And it's not even like you see, like, aside from the signs of elven civilization, which often blends in, it's just tree cover. You know, it's just tree canopies in green. Admittedly, it's springtime, so actually you'd see a lot of kind of bursts of pink and such things. And actually, anyone looking out a window, please give me a perception check.
No, I'd be looking out the window.
Yeah, I figured most people would want to have a glance as you're traveling over the land.
Let's see.
These clouds are pretty.
Hey, Sabriel.
Sabriel sees sounds.
Exactly. Well, it's kind of logical too, because I think even this is one of the things you were curious into looking into. As you're traveling this way, you do notice Sabriel being an elf, and a 900-year-old elf too, is a little better at seeing areas of forest by their age, by like the genus of trees, the way a forest would grow over time. You know, you don't just see forest, even though you're not like a wood elf or anyone who's like spent a long time in forest, but you see forests by like more specific things. You know, well, that would be where a river is snaking under, etc., etc. You do see an area that looks just strange. The tree canopy is somewhat odd colors. Occasionally the trees leaning are more teal and not really in the color of blossoms. Occasionally the tree cover appears to be a little different every time you look. Like trees would be in different places. And there even appears to be a kind of almost fog rolling from only that part of the area, kind of rolling almost down the mountainside, because there is a sort of mountain to the east. You recognize on your map that this would be the Witchwood, which you can really see as like a radial pocket of just differentness. There's a bit more color, there's a bit more life. The trees just look different, and to your eyes especially, there is an otherness to that area. Yeah. Other than that, though, you would be approaching Areadia, and Areadia, you see from above, like I said, is very sparse. I mean, with Vincent, you probably don't even notice you're flying over a city. Because it's so well covered in areas, because the wood elves, especially in the sparse. The reason why it's so sparse is because wood elves, you know, they like their space, and a lot of them want to live that kind of semi-natural like homesteader life, but they're still connected. The canals kind of snake through the city, reaching towards the sea, and as they get more dense, the city gets more dense and looks more like a conventional city. It looks more like Thundrol or Northenden or Lendir. But the sort of areas you're flying over are really, really sparse. You know, suburbs isn't even the right term. It's like almost like the farmland surrounding areas of city, but it's more connected by it than that, but in ways that kind of elves would care more about, because elves don't mind, you know, riding for several hours to the next part of the town, you know. There's a lot of privacy and whatnot. You would begin your final descent, where basically the tower is just going down over this area called the Moonbrook. It is raised. Aradia is not flat. It is kind of built into the hills and the ebb and the flow and areas of forest, which are sometimes above other forest, because somehow that's how some of the trees grow. The Moonbrook is raised. You can even see aqueducts snaking off from it west towards the city, and as you lower it's one of these things where it would be kind of hard to see from below, but it is this hilltop grove with this fairly large for a secret lake, but this beautiful sapphire blue lake reflecting the sunlight. There is just sort of enough space around for grasses and flowers to grow, and then there's just sort of this ring of tree cover. And then to the west, there is almost this shrine town, you know, as part of Aradia, tending to the Moonbrook. The tower would slowly get close to landing. As it does, the little area underneath the tower will open up and it will burn the sigil onto the ground so that it can properly land and kind of hover in place. And sort of pegs will drop from the porch and the balcony, and then the steps will roll down. And the doors will be ready to open, and you will have landed in Aradia. It would be late afternoon if you left pretty early, which I imagine you would. You know, you probably would have left around dawn, and it is barely dusk, you know? And it's a beautiful sight on ground level. The water here is almost crystal clear at this level, where you can see kind of like the pebbles, and the pebbles have a lot of like kind of pastel colors to them. You can see some of the fish and things floating around in the lake. You can see fireflies glimmering above the lake as well, and there is a just very tranquil, calm attitude to this place that is very pleasant. And here you are.
I just look up and just smile, just knowing that I just flew across this vast space land again with a tower. She wouldn't understand because she wasn't here to see it, but he has this feeling like maybe, you know, she did get to see it anyway. So the wonders never cease.
Cyril's just gonna walk outside. He's not amazed by this.
Well, yeah, as Vincent's like, oh, yeah, a little moment of self-reflection, so I was like, outside, steps, maybe looks around, does an ocular pat down at the area, you know.
This is the furthest south that snow has ever been, so he's gonna like walk out and like feel like just take in the forest, because he grew up in a forest, but it was
very different.
Yeah, very different. So he just kind of feels it out, and you know,
there would be for Snow, who's lived all their life in the north and really in a really cold place, the afternoon spring breeze would be really warm. It's kind of rolling in from further south. Even though there is kind of like a cool air coming from the lake, just the ambient breeze is a lot warmer than you're used to. Not unpleasant, but just, you know, this is almost as warm as like summer up in the north, probably warmer.
Yeah.
Vincent will step out and summon Pearl.
Yeah.
I know I sent a message before
Yes,
we left to this place. To who did it say? Who did it go to?
You have a connection in the court of the Evergreen King, who is called Folian Ensbury. I will give you this spelling, for you would know it. They are a member of the king's kind of inner circle. And as you researched last week, most likely connected to the Court of the Wise, a Archfey court. That seems to be what a lot of the Evergreen King's inner circle kind of like believe in and embrace. Whenever you've met them before, they are a little older than a lot of... They're around 600 years old, so you would have met them multiple times. They have been pleasant and somewhat nondescript. You know, there's like, okay, we're doing business. Business was lovely. Let's go. Which I think is kind of the person that Sabriel would love. No hassle, no mess. Because also you would have like occasionally maybe even dealt with the king himself, but this is like, okay, we have something to say with the king, you send a message to him. He wouldn't be... I think the message was just, we're on our way and we kind of want to talk to you, right?
It's like, yeah, something like that.
So that would actually involve going into Areadia's inner circle and going to the king's palace to talk to them. Unless you send another message and want to meet somewhere else. Yeah. So that wouldn't be a meeting that happens here unless you want to wait here and maybe send them a message via sending, but hey, meet us here. If you want to actually go meet with them, it would be at the king's palace.
Hold on, let me... We didn't, we got that there was... Did we get that there was a possible, like, agent in the city that was working with the usurper elves, or...
Give me... So, the quest from Cal is... there is an agent working with the usurper elves that is targeting this Fae Forge. Or going to. You don't know about Areadia itself. But... from the sort of military intelligence, you know that the Everhold Alliance is working a lot in Areadia because it's half Areadian. The Everhold Alliance that is united against the Underrealm threat is pretty much half Wood Elf, half Mountain Dwarf, with a little bit of human sprinkled in from particular and gathering members, you know, around the world. So... if you wanted to know more about the actual, like, the war, you could talk with them here. They would be a lot of the members of the Everhold Alliance in the city mustering strength.
I was gonna ask what everyone would prefer. Do you guys wish to go into the city proper to meet with this contact in regards to the Fae Forge? Or would you prefer that we see if they're able to come here? If we go to the city, we will have to go to the palace. Which I'm okay with, but...
we should at least, out of respect, let them know that we're about to go digging in their food chests without their knowledge. You know. We don't want to go digging through their food chests without their knowledge. Their backyard. You get there's a whole metaphor there. Look, it was a long trip. I'm tired.
You don't want to go digging in their goodberry jar.
Your best ones are at the bottom.
There you go, Snow. What Snow said.
Anyway, I was already sending a message. I sent one on our way here, and I was going to send another to let them know that we were here. But I will just ask them where they would prefer to meet. He's gonna send a message.
Is this going to be via sending?
Vincent very subtly leans into Snow and just goes, "Why didn't he just do that in the first place?"
Snow is like, I don't know, elf stuff.
Sarah was trying to be
sir.
nice and include people in the conversation.
You're as
He won't
wise
do
as you
that
are
again.
large.
He's not gonna do that again. Vincent's just gonna spew some random weird human shit at him, and he's gonna be like, "Okay, well, I don't understand this. You're speaking. I don't speak what the kids speak, so I'm just, yo."
Do you want to cast sending?
Yeah.
All right,
I haven't
25
cast
words or
spells
less. You do know this person, so you can cast sending to. You met them before.
Yeah. Whatever their title is, he's gonna say.
I don't really think they have a title. I think it's very relaxed. If they have a title, I haven't thought of it yet.
What if it was like 24 words long the whole time?
I think honestly, Sir would be the closest you'd go is like honorific. Maybe Hand of the King, but that's a lot of words.
Solian. It's Sabrael. We have arrived at the
Lost count.
Moonbrook. That's
One word. One word.
Would you prefer to meet here or in the palace? That's it. I'm not. This is not Critical Role. Sabrael's not going to gesture
She's
it.
good. He's good. Sabrael's good.
It brings great joy that you have visited the city in person. What would be more convenient, one word, to you and yours? I'm very flexible.
Why was there an emphasis on very more flexible?
You know, it's elf stuff.
I don't know, but does that count as lewd?
That's it?
I don't know, not yet. It's close. Depends what the response is. If Sabrael goes, well, let's see how flexible he is, then it's lewd.
Do I wanna... I'm gonna cast Sending again.
Barry? Question mark?
Yeah.
Send. Eyebrows emoji.
Yeah. Sabrael's just gonna Sending and be like, flexible. Interesting. The palace, then. That's all he's gonna say.
Sounds wonderful. We will entertain you and your assistants.
No one else is aware of this exchange that has gone on between two old men.
Well, you know, Sabrael kind of whispers when he does it, and maybe has a bit of a reaction to flexible, it seems, but,
Sabrael's eyebrow just goes out of his hair into the sky. He's just like... Alright, we're going to the palace.
Are you going now? Or are you going to go in the morning? Because
do you guys want to go now or the morning?
Yeah, it's like 7 p.m. right now. The sun is setting.
What would be the proper etiquette?
Oh, let's go party in the city.
I'm a sun elf. I can just show up. No. Does he know?
Well, as a sun elf, you always do your meetings in the day. I don't think it really usually occurs to you to have meetings at night. And Tholian pretty much made it clear that they can kind of deal with you whenever. Your elves, you know, it doesn't really matter to them. And considering you just traveled a long time in a tower, you can, you know, you can stay a bit longer outside if you want. Actually, even getting to this getting to the palace is actually quite a bit of a trek from here, so even with your horses.
We should go in the morning, ignoring Neil.
Which means you have a whole nighttime of entertainment here at Moonbrook. You've just landed a magical tower in a sacred place.
Yeah.
Well
You could do
then,
that.
I am with Snow. If we have time to burn, let's find a tavern.
Yeah. Snow would
Looking
say.
around.
Snow would say like, if we're trying to get information, there's no better source of information than the common folk.
Here, Snow. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Adderheart looks at Sabre and it's like, I am not the tavern type of person.
Oh, I'm not going. I was like, I have wine here. There's a lake I can paint. I'm not going.
So is it
I
going to
have
be
babysit Peep?
Snow and Vincent could go off to a tavern?
100%
Yeah.
Snow and Vincent drinking episode.
Yeah, Sabril doesn't want to have any part of whatever happens there.
Okay, well the first step is leaving.
Yeah.
Admittedly, this place is
don't
not
even know
devoid
where
of
they're
any.
going.
There is like a kind of shrine arch, and there is like a shrine structure closer to the west side of the whole grove, and that appears to be the way people would usually enter and leave. So you heading out? Okay.
Yeah, Vincent's ready to rock and roll.
You head down a worn stairwell of stone that at some point was actually lightly pink, weathered and faded by time in a very elven way, where it only becomes more elegant with plants and things growing between the stones now that spring has sprung. And as you reach the end of the steps at the end of the hill, you are met with two very confused wood elven guards, because you've just entered. You're just leaving like a secret place
Right.
casually. Wood elven guards wear armor made of a metal called verdant, which is green. It is a naturally green metal. The armor is very thin plates that kind of snake over each other. It doesn't really look like high elven armor. It doesn't look like Sabro's armor. It's kind of its unique sort of thing. And they're not even wearing full armor either. You would probably be aware that these are not like these are, you know, the lower tier of guards. They're sort of just kind of chilling out by this shrine. They've got almost like robes on under maybe a what would kind of count as a breastplate, but probably not even. And they wouldn't even draw their weapons or anything. They just kind of like turn, and these two wood elves would look at the two of you with confusion in a moment, and one would say in Elven, be like, "These are not rogue spirits." And be like, No, these are foreigners. And then in Common, return and ask, "Good evening. How is it you found yourself wandering over that way? Good evening."
Good evening, I'll say back in Elvish.
And Snow says in common.
Pardon us. We are with the emissary Sabriel. We are here on Elven business. Actually, right now, we're just looking for a tavern to blow off some steam from the travels.
Give me a persuasion check.
I like how these are like just like normal guards. I'm like, who the heck is
They don't know. Now, 17's good. You do hear one mutter. Just like, "What is Sabria? I don't know. It sounds like some kind of, probably a company. Sounds like someone who would make carts. Yes. If you are
I
on
know
official,
all about carts.
if you're on official business, are they affairs of the spiritual realm?"
Yes.
Excellent. Well, we do have a tavern in this little area. It was all set up to tend to the brook. So we have a tavern, the Unicorn's Tier, right over this way. We can escort you.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd be so obligated to buy you a drink afterwards.
One's like, and he was like, "We do not drink while working."
A most respectable quality.
They will lead you through the steps, and yeah, this is a little sweet little shrine town. It's very cute and sleepy at this time of day. There are a few sort of elven children from the families nearby running around. It looks like one is carrying a frog and like annoying the other one with it. And they're basically chasing each other. It's very calm. It's very relaxed. You can see area where the canal kind of meets up, which would actually be kind of opposite the tavern, where there would be little boats for people who do kind of visit deeper into the city. And then kind of stretching above this whole part of the town is the old stonework of this aqueduct, right? That's kind of raised above everything. It sends water to other parts of the city that, fresh water. The Unicorn's Tier is kind of right under this, nestled against the hill. It is a building of wood elven design. Again, a little faded in paintwork and things. With some kind of part from like a little stream that runs down from the Moonbrook kind of rolls into it and almost around it, and you can tell that they kind of almost are serving this fresh, pure water. It's a little quiet, but there is a little bit of music playing from someone. It's not even a bard, it's like someone in the town who's playing a little hand harp type thing. And it's very open as well, with like big wall shutters that are currently open and letting the spring air flow through. They are a little surprised to see outsiders, but more than welcome. And before long, a bartender who looks like they've probably seen a few fights, even though they're an elf. And bear in mind, you've been playing time with Sabriel, who is essentially a buff elf. All the sun elves are very bulky, just in general, and like bone structure. The wood elves are a lot more lithe, but even then, you could see the muscles and maybe a couple of scars and scratches, and they would be. They'd sling a towel over their shoulder and be like, "Outsiders, welcome! You must try the finest food and drink we have for you."
I like this place already.
Snow looks at Vincent and is like, I just realized I don't have any money.
I've got a little bit of gold to spare. We'll make do, I'm sure. Come, friend.
I do not know if we have a chair your size, friend, but we'll bring in a bench.
Thank you.
I'll lead the way to the bar, and what is the house special?
Well, of course, water from the Moonbrook. It needs no adulteration. It will realign the humors, it will mend the spirits. It is blessed by this realm and the realms beyond.
Well, let's start with 2 of those.
Yeah, it would be like... It would honestly probably be a silver for a cup of like this clean, semi-holy water. And you would get them in very clear glasses, so it kind of looks... yeah, you're getting the clear mountain water.
As he's like, as the bartender is, grabbing that, Snow's gonna whisper to Vincent and be like, when they said it was the Unicorn's Tier, I thought it was Unicorn's Tear, like rip and tear. I got a little scared for a bit.
I don't think they would tear unicorns in this part of the country.
Snow's like, yeah, now I can see that, but
This was delightful and delicious, but I was hoping for something with a little more kick to it.
The bartender gives you a wink and would kind of like flip over. Like there's like a little chalkboard on a kind of mounting, and he'll like spin it. And it will have like the prices of some wines and beers and meads and things like that. from the local area.
You got the look of a beer drinker, Snow.
Oh yes.
We'll take 2 each of those. Keep those coming, and a plate of whatever your signature dinner is, a piece.
Ooh.
Excellent. And it will very much soon be. There's someone nearby being where are they putting all this stuff? But yeah, you can get a bunch of beers poured for you. They would bring forward a meal. You know what? It's been a long time since I've done the random tavern meal generators. Oh, baby, this used to be a highlight.
Roll that meal!
It is a kind of marinated goose sort of meal. So it's goose meat. There is a lot of the local kind of foliage around, like, and honestly, sort of things you would sort of like recognize, because both of you are a little keen to like herbs and things as being, you know, good for you and the vitamins and all that sort of things. There'd be assorted poached fruit as well. It's like, it's honestly, it's probably not as much food as you'd really want, because you're getting the, you know, you're not amongst sun elves. These are terrestrial elves. They don't actually eat much, but it is, you know, it's a comfortable meal.
Well, I'm sustained for the whole day. I'm just eating just to taste it.
For sure. And that would be the main deal.
I'm trying to think. Could Snow challenge the biggest person in the tavern to an arm wrestling match, as is tradition? I don't know though. It's there aren't actually that many people in here, right? So
yeah,
like,
it's pretty quiet. It's pretty quiet. So I think you'd look around and probably not see much of that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. He won't bother then. He doesn't want to make a scene with the few people that are in here.
Yeah. It's pretty chill.
So what do you think, Snow? You've not been so far away from your home, from my understanding, and you keep getting farther and farther.
To be honest, I think the world of politics is a little beyond my grasp.
There is something to be said about your people's warrior natures, though. It suits them.
You know, he's like, well,
wise in their ways.
I guess I never really viewed my people as warriors, but when we fought at the ring, I saw a side of my people that I haven't seen since we came under attack by the goblins.
It is unfortunate when things have to go that way, but they did rise to the occasion and handled themselves greatly. It was an honor to fight amongst them, and you.
And so just nod and say, likewise. It was, you know, we all fought together for the same cause.
You'll raise a mug.
Hopefully, whatever we find here will be a cause that unites us just as much. And he'll raise his mug too.
Excellent. Well, things aren't as raucous as maybe you wanted. I mean, I guess you could make them be that way if you really wanted. If you drank a lot. But right now it's
let's not end up in Elven prison tonight.
Yeah. You're wiser than some parties then.
Do it.
No.
Sabriel will leave you there.
One of my favorite lines from any TV show and is from Justified. He gets in a fight and she says, "Aren't you a little old to be fighting?" He said, "I'm certainly too old to be losing."
That is very Vincent.
And Vincent is certainly too old to be losing bar fights.
Yeah.
That's really good. All right. Well, while
Everyone
those
just walk
two
into a bar fight. Go ahead.
while those two are away, it's just Sabriel and Adelhard up there. You did mention painting the lake.
Yeah, I guess that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna take his stuff out to the, I guess, outside the tower and just sit out there with his horse, Pegasus. The bird brain's painting too. The horse has a paintbrush in his mouth. Severus teaching him how to paint.
You know, any other Pegasus would probably be smart enough to paint. Your Pegasus is not.
He's trying. He's trying. No, Severus just out there, you know, trying to sit next to the horse. He's probably got him to lay down. And Sabriel did bring one or two of his birds, so he's probably got a bird too on his head.
I'm painting the scene.
Yeah.
Adelhard, you doing anything?
Yeah, he would actually also be outside having a look at this leg.
What does having a look mean? Does that mean touching the water? Does that mean, you know, wading in?
He's contemplating to touch the water, but he's not doing it. It is holy water. Doesn't want to ruin a religious site by accident. But he looks at Sabriel and asks, "You paint?"
Sabriel just lifts the paintbrush up.
Like full easel red, whole thing on like a little table, like full painting mode.
It's just like, yes.
He walks over and has a look at the canvas.
How long have we been?
I mean, probably not long enough for you to have any more than. I mean, Sabriel travels with oil paints, I'd imagine, or watercolors.
Probably both, depending.
Yeah. Which would you be painting on? Because, you know, I imagine you're just in the early stages, which for oil paints is always very interesting, because it's usually one color and just kind of the tones.
It's probably not oil paints, because we're not going to be here very long.
Yeah, so it'd be a watercolor.
watercolors.
So it would be the beginning of the painting, right?
Yeah.
There's lots of splotchiness everywhere. What was the question again?
He just asked, "You paint?" Basically, just like
Yeah.
an idle
okay.
question.
I answered that then. He's just working on painting the lake. And he points back inside the tower. He's like, "I've got a painting inside of the dragon that we've met. I need to take it to her. But also I've got my sketchbook with paintings in it. And all of the paintings in my house that you saw and in my office were mine."
That is quite impressive. And then he realizes what you just said about having met a dragon. It's like, wait, you have met a dragon?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like? And he gets out his notebook.
Sabriel's brain is like, well, she was trying to be relatively seductive. But that's not the point. The point is, she was a dragon. Well, she was a silver dragon. Wait, was she older than him or just about the same age?
I think you were the same. I think you were the same. Yeah, if I recall correctly.
She's my age. God, Sabriel sounds like he's about to describe his, like, new girlfriend.
She's a god.
Silver. She has an ice place. Zelius. Will you fetch my sketchbook out of my bag? Right there.
There would be like the horse head would go down in the bag, get the thing, and then just kind of shake a little to get it out. So it's like, well, yes.
Opposable thumbs.
Does it? Well, yeah, but again, another Pegasus probably do it fine, and probably could have done it fine, but he's also just chaotic because it's Ori's pet. So it does just kind of like and shake it around before giving it to you.
Poor bird. It's just like, what? He just hands it over. There's sketches of the dragon and her cave of wonders.
There would be. It would be it's a cave on the top of the mountain. It had kind of these pillars of stone and ice in it, and ice walls everywhere, and this big table that that people were like made for giants. It was all kind of giant size. They're this big.
He's also got like
bulky
notes
silver
around
dragon.
it too.
Yeah, like very. When I say curvaceous, I mean literally. There are a lot of curves on the scales, like a lot of rounded shapes. Yeah, I don't mean whether or not the dragon has birthing hips, which she does, but that's irrelevant because she's a reptile. But it's not really it doesn't really look like a dragon you would have seen in other people drawing dragons, either from sailors who have seen one in the distance or even encountered some, because there is on the other side of the world a shortcut that sailors take, but you have to pay a toll to dragons to take it. You would never have sailed that way, because you wouldn't have sailed that far. But dragons and sailors mix, but it doesn't really look like, the sketches that would be in the Velheim society halls and things like that.
He looks at it and asks, can I flip through the rest of it? I like your sketches.
It's when you give someone your
dreaded,
phone
can I
and
look
they
through your
swipe, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same, because there are nudes in this sketchbook.
Oh.
Maybe not this. Maybe not this
Spicy
one. Maybe not this
This
one.
isn't this isn't the spicy one. There might be like a nude, but it's not a spicy nude. That's the other sketchbook.
Yeah. It takes a lot of patience to pose in those positions long enough for Sabriel to sketch, but still.
Yeah, he nods.
Yeah, he has a flip through to it. After a while, he asks, I have been contemplating for a long time to publish a book from my travels. And it would be quite dull for pictures.
My brain was like, are you propositioning me?
No. He's asked, he will straight up ask, would you like to collaborate on something?
Right now?
Not right now, no. We have time. Of course.
Well, once we are done with this missions in regards to this ongoing war, I will be returning home. To my wife and my husband, because we have children coming, but we can possibly.
I would not be disappointed if not. He shrugs and hands the sketchbook back. It is up to you.
I will think on it. Sabriel's not even thinking of compensation either, because he doesn't use money.
Yeah, you'll be paid in exposure. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Okay.
Sabriel's already paid at exposure.
Yeah, plenty of times.
That's not where I was going with it. Okay.
The four of you enjoy a nice, relaxing evening in Aradia, one way or another. I imagine once it's pretty late, the Snow and Vincent can return home to sleep in the tower. in nice safety. And then there would be the morning, you know, routines that everyone has kind of going here. And it would be the time to visit the palace soon enough as the sun breaks over the brook, which is, of course, beautiful. No more things in the way of fireflies, but a lot of dragonflies. And that sort of thing. And maybe if you squint, you think you might see the occasional fairy, but you're not sure.
You see a little black void noodle just squirming through the underbrush.
Wait, what?
No, it's Ori wants to insert the OC do not steal, which is which I was gonna say, and I was like, that doesn't make any fucking sense in a D&D setting to say that, because everything is OCs do not steal. But there's another character Ori's referencing.
Baby.
There is definitely a Fae atmosphere about this place, especially early in the morning. But the vibe is a little actually, you know, mysterious and goes in a few ways around here. But yeah, it would be time to go to the palace. Sabra would know where it is. You know, you have your 2 horses. Of course, that also means, you know, I imagine you want to do it because, of course, you've got to count in Adelhard for this, who you haven't really had the issue with before. But with your 2 horses, you can travel at a pace because Snow is totally fine jogging. You know, you can ride through the city relatively quickly at a, you know, a horse jog. There's a special word for when horses jog.
Trot.
At a trot, and head to the palace. And but how's Adelhard gonna get around? Is Adelhard gonna be on one of your horses?
Vincent will hold his hand down and offer Adelhard a lift up onto his horse.
Yeah, he takes it.
Excellent! And you can travel through Aradia during the day. It is wondrous. Like I said, it's kind of sparse, but you're basically traveling under this aqueduct, which occasionally you see buildings kind of stretching up under it, and town kind of flowing around it. Aradia during the morning is, you know, kind of sleepy in a lovely way, because elves don't sleep, but they're also... Wood elves seemingly are never really in much of a rush about these kind of things. Their structures are very open, their roads are very sparse. You occasionally see very basic little market stalls, people sort of setting up, and as you're traveling more, they're even more set up, and you see people doing their kind of daily works. There's a lot of sights of, you know, you see an elder elf and a child kind of smacking soybean fronds to kind of break all the beans out and things like that are like these kind of open traditions, preparing meals and food and all that sort of stuff. A lot of the buildings are relatively open. They either have a full open air area or they have like sort of sliding kind of wood slat walls where they have tight space out, and this would be the kind of place where people would absolutely give you a little greeting. And the greeting, which I don't think has been mentioned in this show yet, is Benadaweth, which means thank you for the morning in Elvish. It's often said ironically in other parts of the world. It's sort of something when you're like, oh, we have to go do work and it's raining, you know, that would be Benadaweth. But here it's a very genuine greeting on a sunny spring day, on the safe internal passages of Aradia. But like I said, it's sparse. You know, you see pockets of relatively wild forest, honestly. Areas where, you know, you might be mistaken for thinking the aqueduct is closer to a ruin than something that is currently feeding a city. But those are relatively uncommon in this sort of area. You would pass the occasional other people on horses, the people with wagons or carts, and that will get more and more common as you ride for a few more hours and get into Aradia City proper, the outer circle, as they say, where you have more... This is more of a city, right? The difference being that the streets are still very sparse, and there's usually a canal beside it, which are also quite wide. But here, you know, you're seeing more people on these little 2 or 3 people boats, you know, traveling by with wide-brimmed hats to keep the sun out of their eyes, and occasionally people sort of fishing where, like, a river will feed into the canal. It's a lot of people just living their life without a lot of strain, you know. It's interesting because you are aware that there is a war on with an unseen enemy underground, but you wouldn't think that here, and you wouldn't think that there is meant to be an attack soon. At least in this area of the city you're traveling through. Just a lot of fairly relaxed wood elves doing their thing. Although when you get into the outer circle of Aradia, it's not just wood elves. You know, there would be a lot of half elves, usually in amongst their own crew. You don't need any kind of check to see that there is clearly a divide amongst the half elves and the regular wood elves of Aradia. You would see straight up like small companies of like merchants, and everyone is a wood elf, you know, or a half elf, you know, that sort of thing. Then you would go through all of this sort of area, which on the east side of the city you're entering is mostly mercantile. It's trade shops, it's trade offices, a lot of trade offices for global trade, and then you travel to the inner circle. As you get closer and closer, you see what looks like a winding twister of roads up around kind of a mountain, but it's not like a tall mountain, but it's actually this large, almost tree trunk-like structure that at the top of it is the Evergreen King's Palace. And on the edge are these grand wood elven estates that are, each estate is essentially a small township itself, like a township castle, as they would have been in the olden days. You know, as you're traveling up this hill towards the palace, you pass areas which, you know, they are fortified like castles with their own towns and travels and their own trades and their own trade shops. It goes from people living their lives and kind of doing these chill things to, well, there are a lot of guards. There are a lot of royal guards. Areadian military in lighter armor with a golden trim and better equipment. And, you know, even people wearing emblazoned symbols. Pretty much every one of these estates has a symbol to it. And there's a great many of them. And they get grander and grander the higher up you go. And there would even be the occasional, like, check from the royal guards. But it seems they have been told to expect Sun Elf. And you would actually reach the palace proper. And when you do, the royal guards would open a portcullis, which is very traditional seeming portcullis. You know, just metal. Just old metal. And it would open up into the open front courtyards of the king's palace, which would be gardens and small little zen ponds and things, where wildlife would be relatively abundant. You can hunt for deer in the courtyards of the king's palace, you know, and they do. There would be an attendant also on a horse who would sort of be like, Lord Tholian is expecting you. Please come this way. And you would be escorted through. A lot more military, and I mean military. A lot more people in, you know, clearly very talented individuals who are unique enough not to kind of wear the regular garb of the military. You pass what looked like a wizard and a witch having a conversation, that sort of thing. It's well protected, again, there are very, very high walls. But if you wanted to, you could have a very calm life inside the king's palace. And you sort of realize at one point that, oh, we've entered the palace. You never went through a door or anything, but the kind of ground level is almost raised above the rest of this kind of grove. And all of a sudden, you're just kind of inside, right? It's like an indoor terrarium almost, some of it. And you would be led up and into one of the inner circles of the wise, which you would see a ceiling if you looked up, which would be a greenhouse type ceiling, glass that illuminates the light and also colors the light. In some places, there is a statue in the middle of this little garden area that is of a very old-seeming man. Unlike elves, but elven in appearance, but has a very long beard, and you've never met an elf with a beard, you know. But a very long beard, and of this statue, it's wood, and it has been allowed to grow on. So the plant life around has, like, grown into the beard and out of the beard with plants and flowers and creepers, and some plants that are carnivorous and nasty, but they're all kind of part of this display, and the figure has glasses and a pipe and these long robes, and the robes kind of go down until it's just the ground. And the ground is covered in roots and plants, and in some places you see places where it's clearly they're growing a particular type of plant for herbalistic reasons, but it's never basic bitch herbalism. No one is growing Blue Lady here, which is the common potion for herbalism, but for healing potions, it's like all very specialized and very well maintained, and there would be some people who all look like scholars managing this. Almost exclusively wood elves, but not. You know, there's a 1% other here. It's not fully exclusive. Where eventually your little guide will step aside and kind of encourage you to get off your horses, and there you would meet Tholian Ensbury. Like I said, an old wood elf, but not really showing the age, not even as much as Sabriel. Wood elves typically have a pretty brownish skin tone. More often it's kind of a warm, like redwood brown, but it kind of full range of all the sort of colors. He's got a kind of warm, almost red skin tone with auburn hair that's very neat, kept in a sort of bound ponytail. The first thing you'd notice is this very calm smile. Then probably the bright eyes, which are also smiling. You might be used to seeing, especially those who've done diplomatic missions, people who are smiling, but it's not in their eyes. He does have the smile in his eyes, although maybe a little bit of cynicism as well. The eyes are kind of hazel with a ring of green around the outside. He's wearing a very light armor. It has some almost pearlescent scales on it, like of metal, but it's almost like a bismuth sort of coloration. And a lot of people here have sort of ceremonial swords. They look like nerds, but they have ceremonial swords, that sort of thing. And he absolutely does. Several, actually. Probably around 3 that you can see. He would just be elfing it up. You know, he would be waiting, looking the other way, and then kind of turn and give you all a smile and a bit of a bow. This is when you all get off your horses, and he would walk up and open up his arms and say, "The court of the Evergreen King welcomes you. Lord Sabriel, it is always exceedingly welcome to have you visit in person, even if it only happens every few centuries. And for the rest of you, while I do not know you yet, I'm sure it will be a pleasure. Now, despite that, I know this is all business. So, please, tell me your concerns and why it is you're here."
Right, there's a lot of noise going on right now. Sabra will look at him. "We need to speak to you about who is this contact name that we were given."
You weren't given a contact. This is the contact. You weren't given a name for anyone else.
The Stars in the Sky was the name we
Oh,
were
you
given.
were given the Stars in the Sky. Yes.
And about questions in regards to the Fae Forge, if you might know anything.
He just kind of like dips his head back and is like, "I do not know anyone by the name of the Stars in the Sky. A beautiful name. Maybe a poet. But I do not know them. The Fae Forge I do know of. I would understand your confusion. This is a Wood Elven fort, an Areadian fortress that recently rebelled. do not reach for your swords yet. They are not our enemies. But they did declare independence. Mostly from the noble house that owned them before. The fortress goes by the name of Fafamel. If you follow the roads towards such a place, you will find the fortress. But amongst their own kin, they have taken to call it the Fae Forge. Even before its fall, there were many rumors of Fae worship, which many here disagree with, but also many embrace. It was that Fae worship that allowed them to become the greatest forge of Areadia. They specialized in making weapons. The entire fortress, under the purview of House Agast, they specialized in the weapons. They declared independence of House Agast and have, some would say, fallen quite thoroughly into the bosom of the Fae. Perhaps literally, if the rumors are to be believed. But they're not our enemy. They are the enemy of the house that once controlled them. We do trade with them, but we are also respecting their independence as such. No longer a full element of the country of Areadia.
Is there any joy, or is like when he starts talking about how they fell and all that? Is there any satisfaction in that?
Give me
behind his
a
words?
insight check, and others can if you want as well.
Yeah, how much does Sabriel, because he's dealt with him before, how much does he trust this guy?
It's like I said before. You've always had perfectly polite, nondescript interactions.
Okay.
Now, Adelhard is reading. It's good too because Vincent is clearly the one who's probably most consciously suspicious. He's like maybe giving a little bit of like but you can't really read anything. To you, there are wood elves who live in your home country, and he seems just like them, very polite and lovely to deal with, at least at face value. Sabriel, you would have the thing of like, well, he is also a politician, so, you know, words often taken with a grain of salt, but he's got no reason to lie to you right now that you know of. Adelhard, he speaks on this conversation with grand interest, like a historian would, even though it's literally happening right now. There's no particular... There's pleasure in the history. There's pleasure in that this is interesting. A fortress has turned from the city. That's very interesting, especially that it's still connected and it's kind of all this internal politics. He's just kind of excited that this is a thing he gets kind of that has happened and he gets to talk about. But you get the vibe that yes, he's not lying. They are still allies of Areadia. Which means this isn't actually a bloody rebellion, at least against Areadia. You have heard of this sort of situation happening before, where part of a country kind of splinters off and does its own thing, and is still really considered part of the country by outsiders, but inside the culture is different. That happens a lot, especially when dealing with large countries which deal with trade, which you would understand a lot. This is seemingly it. It's far enough away that the links are a little strained, and this kind of thing can happen. And it seems that he, speaking for the king and the culture of Areadia, are okay that this has happened, largely, or at very least are allowing the situation to unfold naturally, rather than marching in and retaking the fortress.
All right.
Are we just with him, or is there someone else in the
There
room?
are other people in this chamber. It's a large, it's like a greenhouse, basically. And there are other people around. There's no one really nearby. But there are like 4 other people kind of tending to the plants around here.
Do you have somewhere we might, the group of us, speak more openly without other ears listening in?
I sincerely doubt that there will be a matter of privacy that goes beyond that this place would be impolite to go to. No one from outside the city is usually allowed within this chamber. It's because you are of quite a bit of... We know that you could be trusted, Sabriel, but I've allowed you to enter. Anyone who is in here who would listen, and they wouldn't eavesdrop on a conversation, are thoroughly to be trusted. They are bound members of the King's inner circle.
Just as a precaution, Vincent's going to flash his sight. His eyes are going to go silver for a slight second. He's going to look around with divine sense and just see if there's any celestial fiends or undead around him.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Just checking.
You never know.
It's good to check.
Sabriel will just internally sigh, but give a nod. Well, we need to speak to whoever might be in charge. He looks at the others of this Fae Forge as the, what is the alliance called again?
The Everhold Alliance.
No, the other one.
The Treaty of the
I just
Deep.
wrote alliance. Are those? That's who Cal said was gonna possibly strike at the Fae Forge, right?
The Treaty of the Deep is the unified Underrealm forces. It is actually unlikely that any of those members are involved in this sort of attack. You are dealing with someone outside who is allied to them, but isn't actually part of them. You wouldn't know this, but the Treaty of the Deep is actually very... it's hard for outsiders to be part of it. It's a whole politic thing, which there's another show all about.
Do we have any insight as to why they would want to attack this Fae Forge? Is it just because they splintered off? Is it because they were hired to do so?
Is this out of character? You have no idea.
Okay.
You were just given that Cal Reveal, most likely through questioning, prisoners of war, has discovered that there is a nebulous ally that is attacking this, that is planning to attack this place. You don't know why, you don't know anything, because the people that the question don't know enough. They just sort of know the rumors.
Right. I just didn't know if we had found that out by any chance, and I just missed it. Okay.
He'll just say that we just have gotten information that there's a possible attack or something of the sort going to be made on that location.
Interesting. You asked about its leadership. Well, I do know who leads it officially. Her name is Lariath. She was a member of House Agast and has now left. Her partner is an outsider, a Vastcast from Bastilion, who led to a lot of the changes that happened. Her name is Embrace, the Lady Embrace. She's often called. Between the two of them, they run that fortress now.
Snow has a completely baffled look on his face because he doesn't understand any of this. He's not used to the concept of kingdoms really, let alone like rebellions and noble houses.
Welcome to Sabriel's job.
Yeah.
So Sabriel's just like scratching his head over there, like during all
Snow
this.
is scratching his head.
Oh yeah. No, yeah.
Well, Sabriel's currently mentally scratching his head.
Yeah,
What do I know about? What do I know about this Bastilian place? And can this
Bastilian, give me a history check. Ooh, baby, we're on a lore episode. Get your lore pipes out there, ready to smoke.
I'm Ian today.
And you got a 20. Okay, so Bastilian is a city kind of in the north. If you imagine Jarviskjir, the continent, there is a mountain range that splits the heartlands from the north, where you spend most of your time. kind of past those mountains is an ice lake. In the middle of that ice lake, in a place where you would never build a city, is a city. A city made out of mysterious stone spires that, according to Sun Elven intelligence, was there before the inhabitants were. The inhabitants of Bastillion are a number of cursed humanoids. They were once humans that made a deal with a fiend to live in such a place after escaping war. And that deal turned the descendants of those people into cursed beings. They call themselves the Vast Cursed. They often have fiendish traits. Red skin, horns, occasionally hooves, occasionally tails, and an inner fire. They are very proud of this lineage, which often causes slights. For instance, Thundral doesn't really like them. And Sun Elves probably don't really like them. They're like on the eye of like, you stepped wrong, and you are something terrible is going to happen over there. But Bastillion isn't really a unified country. It is a city run by multiple mages colleges. They are the most advanced wizarding colleges in the land, despite what some elves would say. And they even have a college of necromancy. It's the only real one in the world. They're always kind of skirting the line of morality, and Bastillion has no real leadership. So if you're like, oh, would Bastillion be interested in this kind of thing? Not as a country. But as people, the Vast Cursed often, especially ones who kind of see themselves as nobles, they do like to kind of meddle in the affairs of places. A great many of them are warlocks who heed to higher beings. And you can easily connect that the further Fae worship is likely connected to this outsider who entered. While they don't often worship the Fae there, it's too suspicious of an entering. This outsider Vast Cursed starting a relationship with the leader, and then everything kind of tumbles into a different sort of situation. It's definitely her doing, most likely deliberately. But as a country, it would, unless this Vast Cursed was actually working for the wizard colleges. The colleges of Bastillion are essentially the leadership of the city, and they have like a council. If they were working for the council, then it could be like an actual deliberate thing, and but likely an individual likely spreading their own influence by taking control of this place. Yeah.
So, given that information, I've been math lady memeing while you were giving me that. What does he's gonna ask, what does the Fae Forge produce, and what are its connections to the Alliance, this one?
The Everhold Alliance.
Yeah.
The Fae Forge produce almost exclusively weapons, but they do experiment in armors. The Fae Forge was always willing to use magical techniques, and we encouraged experimentation. There are plenty of runesmiths and those who would learn secrets from the Fae, for instance, on how to bolster materials. Therefore, the materials made by the Fae Forge are of a grand quality, and so are their equipments. There have been instances where the unique soldiers wielding unique equipment from Farfamel were brought in to the Royal Guard to deal with certain issues. Lariath has been on one of these excursions before, and many of them returned to Aradia when there was some sort of issue to deal with, for their equipment is of exceeding magic quality. I do not believe they are connected to the Everhold Alliance. The Everhold Alliance is exceedingly young, Lord Sabriel. The Everhold agreement, before the Alliance was ever made, is only 2 centuries old. A blink of an eye, the two of us. This alliance is barely 6 months.
So, they're not supplying weapons to our allies and
Well, they
friends
supply
that
weapons to
are-
us.
That's
And
where I'm getting at.
yes, with the Everhold Alliance, much of its military is made up of Areadians. Therefore, they are armed and armored by us. But they are not officially part of the Everhold Alliance, though, in all honesty, I would believe they would become a part of it if they knew about the threat. Bear in mind, until 4 or 5 years ago, most people believed that usurper elves were nothing more than boogeymen, a children's story. We would tell tales about them every summer festival. This whole story of a grand rebellion and these elves that snuck away children in the night were just stories to most. Lots of people do not know about this battle. Many in Aradia do, for we have had a bloody encounter with them already. Last year, a great number of people were massacred in a terror attack completed by these usurper elves. The Everhold Alliance was just strong enough and just able to muster in time to repel them. But we are fighting an enemy that pops up wherever they wish and strikes wherever they wish. Even if we close every entryway we know to their far underground realm.
So if it were the usurper elves that have an agent that's potentially planning an attack on the Fae Forge, would there be something that needs to be done on your end, or come on,
You told me it was your mission to investigate such a thing. I believe you should be investigating it. Yes.
Slow butts in and is like, so you're saying we should go conquer this Fae Forge?
No.
No.
I'll just puts up a hand and like,
Everyone
Yeah.
does. Everyone's
Yeah,
like, ah!
Snow is like, oh, and then he like goes back to being quiet because he's like,
Do you know? Cyril's just gonna keep going. Do you know what Archfey this embrace supposedly worships?
He thinks for a bit, and he glances at the statue, which actually is facing away from them now, in the middle of the room. I believe the Court of the Jester.
All right. Is there something you can give us for Lariath to not be hostile if we approach?
Lariath may be more willing to negotiate and communicate if you do not come wielding our flag. We are strange bedfellows with our little renegade fortress. But if necessary, I could give you my obol.
What's that?
An obol is essentially a badge from a diplomat saying that you either work for them or have met for them. It's a bit more of a spiritual thing than flipping a badge, but essentially it is a carved symbol of some kind. It's a trinket.
Snow would take it and hold it upside down as soon as he gets there. He'd be like that Castiel moment from Supernatural, and just hold it out and it's upside down.
It may be worth having just to let them know that you're also interested in this investigation and not against it.
Mm-hmm. He will pull one of his sleeves down, his left arm sleeve, and his arm is wrapped in very thinly, sort of a thin bandage, and there are light green runes in Sylvan upon it, which, if you don't read Sylvan, just kind of look like hieroglyphics, but like almost more childish. You know, they're very flowery and sweet looking, and he'll kind of like run his hand over them and they'll glow, and from the air, he constitutes a small sort of disc shape that would be of the... it is of a bit of a face. You would know that some people in the Evergreen King's inner circle use a symbol of this kind of neutral, expressionless, slightly feminine face because the Evergreen King has a shield which has this face on it. Like, it's clearly that shield. But upon it are some of these runes on his arm and the same kind of inner green outer ring around his eye and that sort of thing. And he will, it will just kind of float from his hand towards Sabriel. Cool, that can go in your key item pouch.
Are we playing like Pokemon or
Yeah.
Elden Ring right now? It's my
Yeah.
key item pouch.
Yeah, that is a joke. It took you slightly too long to realize.
I had to think about what you said. I was like, did he just really... I was like, did he say that, or is my brain just hearing that?
Okay, do you have any more questions for him, or do you want to start head out? Bear in mind there's other things you can do in the town beforehand, but are there any other questions you want to do from before we probably take a quick break?
Sabriel doesn't have anything else for him right now.
We traveled quite a bit of ways from where we stayed last night to get to this point, right?
Yeah.
Is there a tavern or an inn or something along those lines where we may stop and get a bite to eat before we move on nearby?
Thorningwood nods. Like, there are a great many excellent taverns and eateries in the inner circle of Aradia. Perhaps on another time you may wish to complete the Golden Tree. It is a tour of every pub in the land.
Snow, that is on our to-do list.
So it's like, he just nods in agreement.
Fired. Fired.
Yeah, Vincent and Snow are just going to become gourmands.
Oh, it's worse because I live in Kentucky, so we have the Bourbon Trail, which is just like...
Vincent will just do a little bow and just say, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity. As you mentioned, it's not every day that just someone needs to walk in here, and getting the opportunity to see this with my own eyes has been something of a treat. Your hospitality cannot be overstated. And I'll say that in Elvish.
He smiles and gives like one of those like head bows back. And then would extend again in common, be like, please, when either your job is done or you have more information, I would gladly welcome you all to return and love to hear about this. Even if it is not of strategic importance, I would like to hear how this goes. And next time I will prepare a meal, or perhaps we will meet in a tavern.
No.
Yeah, Sabriel clearly talking to the, the mortals. Not Sabriel, they're thoroughly clearly talking to the mortals here. Sabriel's like, yes, a conversation in a weird garden. Yes! That's how I want all my meetings to be. Whereas, the others. Okay, well, you know what?
You, a tavern.
Let's take a little break here, and we will be back in X amount of minutes. Ta-da! Okay, so
To war.
that's all Snow got out of that whole thing is rebels.
No, Snow is actually like he mostly. I inserted that line because I was like, Snow probably wants to feel useful, so he's just like, oh, we need to go do this. He's not even like he has a flat like baseline intelligence. He's not dumb. He just is very uneducated.
Yeah,
Right. So
he is who he is. So, on the slow walk out of the King's Palace, anything you want to discuss? What's the next move? What's the plan, party people?
I would like to go to one of the nearby taverns and see if maybe we can get a beat on this star in the sky. My understanding is he's an info broker of sorts, so he probably deals with all sorts of people, and I would like to try to see if I can use my fast friends to get in and maybe play some cards and sit around and talk for a little bit and see what we can find out about this stars in the sky.
So you want to do that in taverns? You want to do your old tavern questaroonie thing as you're traveling? I mean, your passive ability helps in that, so you can give me a persuasion check with advantage. That's a good roll. Yeah, you would get the exact location of this shop. It would be in the outer circle. It is a shop. You'll be told that it's a shop where you can buy things, but also this cat knows things. You're apparently a cat.
After about the third tavern, Vincent stumbles out with a cask of ale, and he's just, I got it. I know where he is. I figured it out.
Did you?
Follow me. Come this way. And he's just drinking and.
Puts a hand on his shoulder, like carefully. Perhaps you should sober up first.
Can I help him
Did
with
you
that?
know that elves can really drink? You guys can just really, really hold it. Whew.
Vincent, do you? How about this? Just so that you can keep up with the drinking of the elder folk, why don't I help you sober up so that you can continue drinking?
I like this plan. It's a good one.
Nice. It's a little more heavy duty than a paladin using their lay on hands to cure drunkenness. But
oh yeah, I could have done that. I forgot about that. Oh,
like
as
suddenly,
Trust him to do that right now.
As his head clears up, he's like, "Oh yeah, I probably could have done that. Sorry, my apologies." But whew, several hands of cards later, and elven wine is very strong. It's misleadingly strong.
That is generally a thing in regards to the elves and, by extension, the fair folk.
He's gonna pull his water skin out and just chug the water, just to rehydrate a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do have a location for us. Should we like to progress?
Well, where are we going?
We're going to find the stars in the sky. They have information for us, I think.
Cyril just wants to be a smart ass boy.
Yeah. It would be evening by now, the stars would be starting to appear. But yes, you can lead to this shop. It is on a road with other shops, near and it's not near any of the main roads, but it kind of offshoots. It's not the sparse outer forests or anything. And it is a really nice, cobblestone establishment with a peaked roof and several floors. But you do get the vibe when you're looking at it. It's like, you don't know what this shop sells from the outside. It's a shop. It says it's a shop, but it could be literally anything from the outside. And there's no one really in or anyone going in and out at this time of the evening. And are you heading in?
This is the one.
All right.
Sabriel, orders.
Who are we in here supposed to ask for? Or did they give you a catch, like password phrase, or anything we're supposed to tell this person so they don't stab us?
I just assumed that we were just to tell them that we were with you. I think he's expecting you. They are expecting you. I don't know.
Okay. Sabra's just gonna go.
You open the door, there's a little jingle, but the little mechanism of the door, when whoever's the last one, when it closes, it kind of pulls a mechanism, it starts playing like a very simple, like, player piano tune. The inside is kind of gloomy this time of day, but the little bit of lantern light from the outside street does feed in through the windows. On tables, there are books. There are books and scrolls, but there are also knickknacks and sometimes toys and little crates with other things in them. Kind of hanging from these bookshelves and things are baubles and doodads that kind of on strings all around. And there is kind of a central, like, desk area where, when you enter, a figure will turn around. A tabaxi, a humanoid cat man. They actually look a little old. They're a little elder. They would be kind of like a kind of pale grayish beige, but there's a lot more gray now, and the fur is patchy and a little ragged. But they are like full-on cat men, you know, with
Literally a cat.
Literally a cat.
Would it be safe to assume this is the first one of its kind that Vincent has seen?
They're all over the place, but probably. Yeah, like there are some that they are often considered a traveling folk.
Oh my god.
It is rare to see one settled in a shop, but they are wearing like fairly calm but well kept, like merchant's clothes with some jewelry. They have a wily smile and a mischievous eye that is kind of pupils are kind of dilated in the dark right now. And as you enter, he does kind of like the front of the desk with his hands and smile and be like, who might you be entering my shop in the middle of the night?
Vincent has a very palpable, childlike wonder look on his face, and he is fighting to keep a squeal in.
Does the cat person's eyes dilate?
Yeah, they
when
dilate
he sees
with-
the shiny elf?
You aren't shining that much right now. Right now, outside of Hythundral, your skin is metallic. That's the only real thing separating you from another elf, unless you're casting spells. So, no, you're not radiating light. And I would say he's kind of tall for his kind, but it still puts him at like 5.5 foot, so he's shorter than a lot of you.
He's taller than me.
Yeah, you are short for your kind, but you're tall for a tabaxi, I guess.
I am Sabriel. I was told you were expecting me. Looks at Vincent.
There is a flick of Star's ears, where you can see there are even like a couple of little nicks and cuts on them, and he's just kind of like, I have no idea who you are. I've never seen you before in my life, but this is a great time for our first meeting.
Just looks at Vincent like, you dirty liar.
We want to know about the rebel city.
Excuse me. My apologies. I did mislead my companion here briefly. I didn't know what to tell him when he asked what he should say, so I just made something up.
Excellent.
Pardon my ignorance. I've never met your kind before. My name is Sir Vincent Anais, and this is Sabriel, and this is Snow, and sorry. He gets real
My
flabbergasted.
name is the stars in the sky, and this is my establishment. As your large, lumber-footed friend has said, you are looking for information, and information I always have to sell. You are looking for a rebel city? What, do you mean the one beyond the mountain that the dwarves are squabbling over? No, I doubt it. I imagine this is of a much fairer persuasion, no?
Would I know what nickname, because I assume she's that paranoid and would use a nickname for herself, Goma would have given this cat?
Oh god, yes, she would probably have an edgy code name. But I don't know what it is. You're right, because Gomer is the person that knows this guy, and it would be an edgy code name. It would be something like Eagle's Feather or something, I think.
He'll say that. She was the one that told him about him.
Wonderful.
To ask
Adelhard.
about the city.
This is Adelhard.
Hello, Adelhard. I'm glad that we have an acquaintance in common. That still does not assist me in knowing who you are, but yes, if you are friends with the Eagle's Feather, then I am sure then you will be fast friends with me. You must forgive me. I understand that you and your kind are incredibly important where you come from, but I come from the world, and the world does not bask in the Sun Elves.
Oh, Several wants to make a remark about the sun being the thing they bask in, but you know what?
Yeah,
He's going.
That's definitely what he's saying as well. Like, it's like, yeah, sure, but you're not daddy, son.
Several's not going to spew the borderline blasphemies.
I am the son.
Fuck you! I am the sun. I am the Senate. Star Wars reference.
Yeah, there it is.
She said that you had information in regards to a possible attack on the Fae Forge.
Yes, I've heard rumblings and rumors. The Fae Forge is an interesting place. You will be aiding there, I assume? It is, curious. It is very rare that an elven settlement rebels, but if it is going to happen anywhere, it would happen to Aradia. I would have believed it would have been Nelmillion first. They hate it here. They hate the people here. The Fae Forge has always been a little bit more consuming, but, well, it is always, as all things do, it comes down to love. The leader of the Fae Forge is so in love with her mistress that if that strained relationships with home had to go. Now, the people of Aradia are not planning on attacking the Fae Forge, but there is a tenseness about the place. I have heard that any force with a mercenary sword has been questioned lately in these forests. By, if fairy tales are to be believed, and his ears kind of flick, are being passed around by the dark elves of the underworld. Of course, they use illusions.
We know this part already.
Well, yeah, you skipped the bit where you were meant to meet him. You're getting the information you were meant to get first. So you skipped a step. But he will say that I am well versed in illusions, at least telling when they are in place. And yes, there are those traveling with illusions, trying to hire sell swords, magicians for hire, everything, but not so much elves. Forest goblins who are organized enough, yes. Even more intelligent spiders in the forest. Of course. I do not know who has been hired against the Fae Forge, but they are not your average mercenary.
Out of character, we can try to sell poetry to these dark elves trying to hire mercenaries and let him go in as a spy.
I mean, that's not a bad idea. That's a pretty great idea if you wanted to go that
You're
route.
gonna send me in as a spy? You send Snow in?
Sabriel can't go.
I mean,
He'd start staring off at the wall and talking to it, and they'd know instantly.
Does Sabriel? I'm assuming Sabriel doesn't bring this up now, but Sabriel probably looks over at Snow with an idea. And
He does. He looks over at Snow just like, but with a mild expression of, like.
Snow is like, I don't understand all these issues with elven fortresses rebelling. Don't you all have flying castles? Can't they just go somewhere else?
You have spent too much time with the Sun Elves. You should probably learn that the Sun Elves have a brilliant little castle that affects only itself. It has been a long time since your kind of affected
we have one,
anyone.
yes.
Great, excellent, strange, curious. Shouldn't tell that to every stranger. If I was in a younger age, I would stab you and steal it from you. But I am old and comfortable in my lot in life.
Snow's like openly exasperated. Like he's like, I don't understand.
Yeah, this guy's speaking too quick for Snow to keep up with and all this stuff. But he'll settle back, and he's not got a chair there or anything. He's got like a standing desk, and he'll be like, "The forge cannot be moved, especially if it is being linked even closer to the Fae. The Fae realm bleeds from the Witchwood. The Witchwood is close to the Fafamel. Our cities cannot be moved, but people can move. There are always refugees traveling from somewhere, and sure, if people would be okay with just leaving if some city was destroyed, but you must understand that this is not a fortress that has lived in wartime for a long, long time. The Elven War with the dwarves ended 200 years ago, and even then it was a war diplomatically more than in bloodshed. The leader of the Fae Forge did lose her legs to dwarves, yes, in battle, but other than the occasional spat, these fortresses were not in wartime. They were mothballed. They were working on their own projects. That Fafamel had many, many, many.
Do you know what sort of... Actually, he stops in the middle of that sentence, holds up a finger. Before we ask any more questions, what payment for this information will you be requesting?
I always encourage donations in coin, but so far I have given you no information that is truly secret. Because if these dark elves are conspiring against the city I live in, I would enjoy to keep living here. I am too old to wander to home new. Back up the mountains.
Is there something in the Fae Forge that would be prompting them to possibly strike so that they can take it or stop it?
I've heard rumors about how these usurper elves operate. They often attack targets tangential to their main focus. They attack allies before they become allies to weaken them, so that they will never give their aid. They have attacked Areadia, mostly to throw fear. That is what they want to do. This is not a war that you are going to be fighting with fleets and fleets of soldiers and flying castles. This is a war that these Dark Elves want to fight with subterfuge, assassinations. They only go loud when they want to send a message. The bloodbath in the streets some months ago was a very crude message. Now, I do not know if Forge will be taken out loudly or quietly. I wonder what you would do.
Sabriel's just like, honey, I'm a man of strategy. It depends on what it needed to be done. Do you have any information on this agent of the Dark Elves?
You want traveling in illusion?
Mm-hmm.
I would have to stretch my paws and get more specifics, and that would involve a dowry.
How much is that?
I can get you in. A trick to illusion is seeing past it, but I'll be able to get you a description for 50 gold. Don't know how long it will take.
Sabriel's going to hand him 100.
Erahal puts up a hand. As you said, this is in your own best interest to have this place. Stay around. Perhaps a little less.
He looks at you, and he looks at the double coin he was just handed by the Sun Elf, and he smiles, like, you will have to move faster than this one next time, and just the coin into his pocket.
Sabriel doesn't use his money. He's like, he just keeps it on hand, and he's just like, I don't know what to do with it.
Give me a few days. I will use my avenues. I will try to poke some holes in illusions. Will you be staying a few days, or will you be traveling?
Looks at everybody else.
Oh, supposedly there's this gold. What was it? The golden tree. Supposedly there's this golden tree collection of restaurants. Do you have a recommendation for where we could start?
Yes, well, you start the golden tree at the port, of course, at the wheelhouse. The water wheels.
So nods, but then he kind of like looks over at Sabriel and is like shrugged.
Can I say my bird followed me, one of my birds?
Why?
I love the why part. Like, what am I
It's
gonna
not
pull
necessarily a
something-
no, but it is a why, yes.
Because
when players have
Sabriel
that
is...
kind of question, DM automatically gets suspicious.
Because Sabriel will leave the bird with him, so he can send the bird to Sabriel.
Oh, sure. I'll allow that. Yeah. Look, I don't know what kind of weird faux druid stuff you wanted to do, or if it was just like, is the bird scared of the cat? Like it was just an unrelated question, because it could be. So, why is the appropriate DM response sometimes? But yes.
Like,
you
I'm
can-
gonna drop a dragon turtle from 600 feet again. It was the one time.
Nope. Not canon, not here. Ain't care.
Oh, yo, wait, that's another thing on the bingo card. That's not canon.
No. I don't even have it open. I'm just
This
falling
lady
into my
other
own
game.
trap. So, yes, you can leave the bird to work as a messenger once. Hopefully the bird
Don't eat
doesn't
my
get
bird.
eaten on the way. The cat won't eat
Also,
the bird.
Snow is joking. He has no money for the restaurants, so we'll have to
But it's
figure
kind of up to
something
you as a party whether you want to actually head towards the Fae Forge and kind of go there now, or wait and maybe deal with this imposter. First of all.
Us.
And honestly, you have, you know, this could be something you decide next week if you want, or you could choose an avenue to go down now. It's up to you guys.
Well, so the downside is that if we start heading to the Fae Forge now, then we wouldn't necessarily be able to like meet up with the cat guy again to get the information he might.
Well, he's just been given a way to message you once. That said, if Calravale's to be believed, this deal, like, allyships have already been made, you know. Dealing with the person making the alliances is almost... It's up to you whether you want to deal with that first or the actual alliance they've made first, right? You have someone, in theory, setting up, hiring mercenaries from the Usurper Elves. Do you want to deal with the mercenaries, or do you want to deal with the person hiring them?
To try to find that person, yeah, that's.
I feel like if we stop the greater quantity of force first, then go deal with the head of the snake so that it doesn't keep repairing itself. My brain just made that in a Nokia snake metaphor.
So you want to deal with the mercenaries first?
Deal with the immediate threat first, and then go deal with the subsequent.
Yeah, what Zach said.
Yeah. Okay. It's weird for poetry/snow to want to go the other way around. That would have been more politicking and subterfuge. This way, you get to smash something.
He understand. Yo, actually. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, yeah. He understands that the leaders are important, which is why I actually have a question for the cat. I want to ask him if he knows where the pyromancer dude is.
Oh, okay.
What's it? Yrex, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Snow wants to ask him just on a whim if he knows about pyromancer Yrex.
He gives a smile and he looks over Snow. Says, I have information, but not for free.
What's the price?
He wiggles his whiskers. 20 gold.
Hold on.
You fill out your wallet and a moth comes out because you bought a bunch of beer to travel with like 3 months ago. Like, that's why you have no money. Like, poetry, Snow.
It was actually, I'm pretty sure, also exactly 20 gold's worth of mead for us to travel with on our way to Hythedral. Okay, I will. I'll slap down my fine winter furs that I have because I don't need them here. So Snow like reaches into a bag, takes out these winter furs, which are exotic, right?
Most people don't consider things from the north exotic. It's like, yes, it's foreign, but it's also the north.
Okay, and then he's like,
yes.
He'll also say. He'll say, so he'll be like, these furs are worth at least a few gold pieces, and if you'd like, I also have a large tent that I don't need anymore.
Stars in the Skies looks at you with a indiscernible expression. Please give me a persuasion check with disadvantage.
I can also cede you the deed to my cart.
Oh my god. Do it. Sabro's looking at the cat like, please take that deed.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I will take your trash.
It's not trash.
And also accept something that I can use as legal tender. Maybe one of your friends can give me 5 gold.
Can someone
Sabra
spot
wanna
me?
be nice. Sabra wanna be nice. Let's see.
He will scooch the furs off the side of the table and the other stuff.
Sabra will be nice.
Second it's down on the table, you know, it's swooped back under this guy's arm, and he'll kind of adjust his stance and be like, this pyromancer Wyrex, you undoubtedly know, was part of the Goblin Warcold. You most likely have a vendetta against them because of this. What you may not know is that they have made a deal with a witch. A foul witch. I do not know what kind of deal it is, but these are not the kinds of deals that kind people make, no?
Snow nods and he's like, is this witch in the north?
By my knowledge, they have not left the corner of the world they hold on to.
Okay.
But such people can travel a long way before anyone knows in the north. If they are traveling through the heartlands, every little town has eyes and ears, but travel for miles and miles in the snow, leaving only footprints will be covered by more snow. You understand?
Yeah, he nods and he's like, thank you. I will, eventually I'll have more actual gold to pay you with in case you find anything else out.
Very sensible. I am always listening, and I am always picking things up. The stars see all. Will there be anything else? It is quite late. I do need my beauty naps.
Or he's
Is there
trying to...
anything in this cat's shop that would signify that he's working with any sort of fae?
Oh, Jesus. Give me an investigation check. Hey, Jesus.
I like to think that as Snow is keeping him distracted, Sabriel is just like sifting around, pretending to like browse the wares.
Bunch of shit in it.
Sabriel's like, this man knows too much just to be a cat.
Cats know a lot. I don't know. My cat's a dumbass. I can't even pretend.
Well, given what he knows about Goma and her friends, he's like,
Yeah. Goma knows more about the Fae than Ballord does, and you went to Ballord first.
well, she wasn't there.
She was
and
there. She's in the
Ballard's
city.
friend knows how to find things. He drinks
Yes.
and he knows things.
Yes. Fucks. And he knows things. We're
Does.
going even more X-rated than Game of Thrones.
I mean, with the Jester and the Wayfinder, yes. Anyway.
Maybe you'll
That
see a
counts
play
for
about
lewd
it one
activity.
day. Yeah, okay. There should be one on the card for Ori's activation stance. When you want to ask a question and it's still loading and you lift.
That's true.
It's very specific, but I
Neurons
like it a lot.
activated.
Do you have anything else for the stars? Do you want to what do you want to do?
Problem.
Cause problems on purpose.
Hold on, okay, wait. Do we know? So the person who is like an illusionist or something, they're recruiting mercenaries.
Mm-hmm.
You may have said this. I might have just missed it. Well, like, is that just happening generally around the kingdom, or is it more towards the Fae Forge?
He just heard that he heard rumors about it, which
Okay.
you figure when he says that it's this city and anywhere connected to it. So, main settlements and stuff likely.
Okay.
Oh, also, poetry. Sabriel's thought for going for the mercenaries before going for the one gathering the mercenaries
Yeah.
is the one gathering may not necessarily be the actual leader.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Sabriel doesn't have anything else he wants to do in the shop.
Vincent is done as well.
Definitely the kind of place you can pop back to in the future. As long as he doesn't die of old age.
Although Vincent does kind of linger and just kind of like, before he like walks, he's like the last one to walk out and closes the door behind him, but he's getting like, just the whole cat person thing is thrown in, obviously.
Vincent wants to pet the cat.
Yeah, he hasn't figured out how to ask that without being rude. So he's just going to give up on it for right now. So he'll be back.
Can I pet you?
It just sounded very weird the way Ori said it.
That's 2 times lewd activity.
Yeah, I'm gonna put lewd activity.
I wasn't
Hey. What next? What is next in planning? Because it's near the end of the session. But what's the next move?
We have a location for the thugs, right?
For the thugs, no. For Baphomet, yes. For the Forge.
The Forge, yeah.
You don't know who has been hired? The fact that Cal was fighting but someone's been hired means they've been hired. But you don't know who, how, what, where, when, Aside from, it's probably not, like, elven mercenaries, right? That's probably out.
So, like, we could, I don't know if Snow would necessarily think this, but, like, honestly, Ori's idea about maybe, like, Snow or someone going undercover might actually work. Because, like, Snow is a noticeable figure. If he, like, goes around taverns around the capital and its outskirts and starts being like, I'm a mercenary, I'm looking for work, and he's a big dude, he'd probably have someone approach him sooner rather than later.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Also, can retroactively, can Sabriel see if Catman has a more detailed map of the area of this place and Fae Forge so that he can look for possible underground entrances or possible places where one could hide a mercenary force or an ambush or...
This guy absolutely has maps for sale. It would be a more detailed map of the northern Emerald Expanse, because the southern Emerald Expanse sucks. And the only people who live there are people that hate everything. How much?
Shit, that's where I need to go.
Already live where everyone hates everything. More detailed map, 15 gold.
He'll do it.
Yeah, and it's a very detailed map. Admittedly, it's slightly more detailed from the perspective of, like, multiple hunters and trackers, and so it has, like, information about the best hunting areas. It also has information about, goblin settlements, ruins, main roads, the rivers, all those sorts of things. Baphomet would be on here. It wouldn't be labeled as a Fae Forge. It's older, and the districts of Aradia and stuff. So it's kind of like the Areadian suburb map spreads out and out and out, and then all the sort of little travel trade roads, all the way up to Turquoise War, and up to the Fae Forge, the Witchwood, and kind of below the Witchwood, near the mountainside, is the Fae Forge.
Okay. I'll explain what Sabro wants to do with that next session, because that's going to take too long.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you are kind of prepped and ready for the next session, so we should probably end this one. We've reached that point where it's not really worth starting anything. So, thanks for being here. Things are being set up, a lot more investigation taking place. No violence yet. But you did meet a cat. And that's pretty great.
Does he have a fluffy tail?
He did have a scraggly tail. He is, you know, when you meet an old cat that's kind of got a bit bad at grooming themselves, and so their fur is kind of scruffy. He's one of them.
Yeah.
So, we'll see you next week. The week after that, I'm actually not here, I think, but next week we should be on. Real quick, we're going to go talk around about your stuff that you are working on, the rest of the party, starting with, Zach.
So I am blessed, happy, excited. I am shooting a Pathfinder 2e one-shot on the 9th with 5 very, very talented women from over on Twitter. And you guys can check that out on my Twitter at nextlevelttrpg. We are shooting that. That'll be posted sometime, hopefully the week after that, on my YouTube channel, and that'll be the first inaugural video. So we're going live. Be awesome.
Nice. All right, poetry.
It's muted. Yeah. So the only thing I want to promote today is that tomorrow I will be doing the normal Sunday D&D stream I have, but I also get to show off Ori's artwork that she did for me, which will be relevant tomorrow's session because they're gonna fight a boss. Maybe. I don't know what's gonna happen.
You can never predict it when it's like, ah, yes, clearly the PCs will fall and meet the boss, and then it's like, no, we're gonna go. Here's a goblin named Schloblin. Let's see this guy's life story for like 5 hours. Schloblin.
But no, yeah,
love you.
Yeah, I have no idea what's gonna happen. But either way, that character that I have artwork for now will be introduced fully tomorrow. So yeah.
Nice. All right. Speaking of artwork, AJ.
Yes, I am currently working on a portrait of the character I'm playing here. So if anyone likes to see the process of that, it's all on my Twitter. I will post the entire process as I usually do with my art.
You know what I would be interested in? His homework. Your versions of the other characters. One day.
I can do that.
You could do that.
Maybe.
Mine won't be pretty if I do that.
You should! That would be... Everyone has to draw the characters. That's the homework.
Peep is, like, Sabriel's version of Peep is a very detailed, delicate dragon, but it's got a confused notation next to it that says dog.
I feel like there should be a word in Elvish, which is like, it's dog, but like questioning. It's like, is dog?
Is this a dog?
Yeah, and because the elves are very poetic. All right. Speaking of elves, Ori.
Oh, it is me because Quill's not here.
Quill's not here. But check out Quill's stuff on YouTube. Waha.
I'll spew Quill stuff. They do voice acting and really cool stuff, and they're great and they're fun, and they play the kobold Peep, who may or may not be a dragon.
It's actually sad that Peep wasn't here to meet the stars in the sky.
The cat.
Oh, yeah. That would have been because and also trailing back to what I said in the game chat earlier, I nearly put money on it. I told you, AJ, that it would be Peep or Snow who asked about Adelhard's scar first, and it was Vincent.
It was
Vincent,
that
has me shooketh. I would have sworn it would have. Sabriel doesn't care, but I would have sworn that like it would have been like the second or third thing people or Snow would have said. Be like, got that scar. What's up with that? And they never did. Anyway.
That's true. Yeah.
Go on,
Yeah, so Quill stuff out of the way. Go follow them. They're great. I do art and shit posts, and sometimes both in the same moment. I just finished a dragon painting of one of my characters. I don't draw dragons often because I had an evil teacher in school that made fun of my dragons all the time. I'm trying to draw dragons again. So yeah. I have commissions open. Commission me. I only have one working on right now and I'm almost done with it. So I have time and I'm off my part-time job all week. Also, I have to pay for vet bills because Sophie had surgery. That's a lot of money. So I gotta pay for my dog having to walk again. So yeah, hit me up. Also, no Greenwood tomorrow. I will draw Spicy Grim if you pay me to draw Spicy Grim.
You say that,
We've
but
been
it's going to
over
be a
this.
pain in the ass to draw all those
It will,
bones.
which it's a complicated character design. It
It's
will be
true.
extra.
It's true.
But yeah, no Ghost of the Greenwood this week because people are traveling, and I don't know. I may arrange soon. I've been thinking about it. And Ollie has asked me about it before. Running a one-shot for the Witcher RPG, but I've got to sit down and like fully read the book and see if a one-shot is possible.
It might not be possible in that system to do a one-shot.
That's
like,
why I
properly.
need to sit down and read it.
Maybe a
So,
short,
yeah,
a shorty squad one or something.
like a two-shot or something
Yeah.
for when we don't have the So yeah, no, that's me. Go find my stuff. I have a new order form now. Don't use the Google Doc. Use the Google form that's on my pinned tweet. The Google Doc won't get a response, I promise.
Okay. Then there's me. Then there's this show. This show is supported by Patreon. If you like it, go give a little bit of money. You get access to sketches, behind-the-scenes art, often art of things that happen in the game. Also, for $5 or more a month, there is a Monday game, which is... All my games are kind of on-off at the moment because I have a lot of medical stuff going on, and so my brain is mush. But what is mush brain good for? Being a pirate for like 6 to 8 hours a day. So there's a lot of streaming happening on this channel of Atlas Roleplay. It's a lot of fun, and it's pretty chill most of the time. So please join us for that. That's kind of keeping everything going. That's keeping lights on right now, while all this other stuff gets sorted out. But the Monday show is on more often than not, and it's a great time. We will be back next time. Join the Discord, follow me on Twitter for more information. I'll let you know what's on when and what we're doing. For now, we're going to thank the people who support on Patreon, and we'll see you next time.